Moving to the street with swagger, need. Often works to job to take care of my need. Taking it all in stride. Daddy seldom complain. His emotions so high. All his aches and pain stays up in his head. About what must be done. Taking no time off. Daddy stays on the run. He's my dad and I love him. With him I have no fear. Because anytime I need him, I know Daddy's right here. Daddy's right here. Daddy seldom gets credit. We don't see all that he does. What's important to us is always showing Daddy love. His love sometimes tough to learn why took a while. Our relationship special, one of Daddy's child. Facing his responsibility, making it do what it do. Physically and emotionally available, yeah, Daddy's coming through. He's my dad and I love him. With him I have no fear. Because anytime I need him, I know Daddy's right here. Daddy's right here. Nothing easy about fatherhood, protecting us from all the no good. Most of the time he gets it right. He'll usually seek the light. He'll take his problems to God. Sometimes we'll break up the most gracious, most merciful one with him to storm through weather. He's my dad and I love him. With him I have no fear. Because anytime I need him, I know Daddy's right here. Daddy's right here. Daddy's right here. Here, here, here. He wasn't no Rolling Stone. Daddy was bad to the bone. He never rode with many. He tended to roll alone. With all he's been through, Daddy always stayed the course. Living life on his terms. God is his go-to source. He turned his life around, seeking refuge from the one above. Now we have the best of him, a daddy full of love. He's my dad and I love him. With him I have no fear, because anytime I need him, I know Daddy's right here. Daddy's right here. Daddy's right here. Daddy's right here. He's my daddy. He's my daddy. He's my daddy. Daddy's right here. Daddy's right here. He's my daddy. He's my daddy. He's my daddy. Daddy's right here. Daddy's right here. Daddy's right here. Here. Yeah, Daddy's right here. Welcome to another live episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I'm your host as always. Yeah, Sabir Alim. Yeah, last week we talked about chaos, right? We talked about conflict and how conflicts emerge. Yeah, and it all came back to who? You, me. A lot of times when we're in situations, we fail to look at ourselves. We're looking at the situation. We're looking at the person. We're looking at, the place. We're looking at, everything other than ourselves because we're the ones who are responding or reacting to these situations. And don't think for a minute that, you know what? It takes two of us to argue. It takes two of us to be at odds with one another. It takes two people or more to do this. And if I walk away from this, if I separate myself in my head, I can still be present. But if I separate myself from this conflict and realize that if I make no contribution to this, that it can in fact go away, it may cease to exist. But if nothing else, it just decreases the stress that you have upon yourself because at the end of the day, that's what it all comes down to. It comes down to what role you play in this situation. And we were talking from the article, What Makes Conflict, How Conflicts Resolve. And the author of that article on psychology today is Susan Heitler, PhD. Yes, very, very good article. It kind of broke down in the simplest of terms uh, what conflict is. And what it says here in the article is conflict is a term that refers to situations in which two or more sides appear to be pulling or pushing in opposing directions. If the participants stay calm and friendly, we might refer to their way of dealing with the conflict as shared problem solving. If tensions emerge or anger escalates, the terms arguments or fights may be a better fit. Maybe a better fit. And it says that it appears that the two are pulling or pushing in opposite directions. And a lot of times that's what we're really battling. We're battling with the fact that the other person is not hearing us, the other person is not listening to us, the other person is not understanding, right? But I'm the one who needs to understand. I'm the one who needs to listen, first and foremost, because I'm not hearing what the conflict is really about because I'm stuck in my own stuff. I'm not hearing what the conflict is, right? Because it can be quickly resolved if I hear what the person is saying, how they're feeling about the situation, right? I don't have to oppose what they're feeling. Their feelings are valid. Their feelings are valid. And that's the part we miss, regardless of anything else, regardless of who they are and where we are and all these other things, regardless of any of those things, everybody has the right to be heard. And oftentimes we take away that right because we want to impose upon other people our own values and beliefs. Therefore, we'll never hear the other person. Agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to turn into a disagreeable situation, but I still have to respect you enough to hear you out. And oftentimes, we're the ones who want to be heard, regardless of what the other person says or does. Doesn't matter. You need to hear me. You need to respect me. That's the tone we take. Respect me. No, no, I won't respect you if you're not listening to me. I won't disrespect you, but I won't respect you when it comes to us confronting particular situations. And there's a difference there. I don't have to become disrespectful, right? I just don't have any respect for it.
because you have shown me that you have none for me, that you don't value me as a person, that you don't value my perspective, my beliefs, that those things are not important to you, that I have to yield to you. And when you have a situation where no one wants to yield, the stop sign is not even seen. You run right into traffic, you run right into chaos, you get hit from all different sides. And a lot of times it ends up in a lost relationship. And sometimes a very valuable relationship is lost. So we had concluded last week's show with going into the steps of collaborative conflict resolution. And it's important to understand that to resolve conflict, it has to be a collaboration of both parties. Both parties have to be willing to sit down and squash that. Both parties have to be willing to, set aside the differences and listen and hear the other person out. I mean, that even works on the street. You know, when you put the guns down and you just sit down together and see what the problem is. What is the problem? Why are we going at each other like this? Why are we killing each other? Yeah, it works anywhere because conflict exists because of the differences in views, perspectives, values, and beliefs. That's where the problem is, right? You're going to do what you do. I'm not condoning anything. I'm simply saying that, if there's resolve there. If you out, this is your corner, this is your corner, right? Don't come on my corner. Don't come up here hustling on this corner. Plain and simple. It's disrespectful, right? No beef, right? When you cross the line, that's when the problem happens. But even when the line is crossed, we need to have that discussion again before we come to the point of killing each other because there's resolve there. Period. But you have to understand the nature of what's happening. What is the intent there? Because there's always an intent. You know, nobody wants to be bullied. Nobody wants to be strong armed. Nobody wants to be disrespected. So whether it's on the street corner or whether it's in the confines of your home, there is a resolve. You just have to want that resolve. You just have to want it. So to the article, the 3 steps of collaborative conflict resolution. To settle a disagreement without getting mad, sad, or anxious, take the following 3 steps. 3 steps. Not 10, 15, 20. 3 simple steps to resolve conflict. Right? First step, recognize that there is a problem that needs to be solved by noting differing ideas of what to do. Right? Recognize that there is a problem that needs to be solved. Right? Do we have a problem? Yeah. Yeah, we have a problem. So let's note the differing ideas of what to do. Right? So that means I need to look at, from my perspective, right? What is my idea? You know, what is the, because there's ideas and there's ideal. The ideal way of dealing with it, right, is we have no beef. Let it go. Move on. Right? It can be that simple. When you talk about idea, right, they're just thought. There's like perspectives of how to approach something, but it's not necessarily an ideal way of dealing with it. Right? So you express your ideas, your differing ideas. And you look at those ideas and say, hey, well, how far have we gotten to resolving this? with the ideas that we have attempted to use. What has been the outcome? If it's been a favorable outcome, why are we back here again? And you have to discuss those things. Well, we did it this way. And when we did it this way, right, this is what the outcome was. We still came right back to the same problem. So obviously it didn't work. Obviously it doesn't work. And it's not going to work. So why do we keep trying it that way? What did we try before that almost worked? And what happened to interfere with the functionality of that resolution? What happened? Well, you went back to the old way of doing things. Okay, well, was it done intentionally? Is it part of my conditioning and I failed to seek resolve within myself? Right? Like I didn't look at ways that I can prevent from regressing back to this old behavior that put us back in this situation. Was there something going on with me that I felt the need to do that? Well, we need to talk about that. We need to talk about that. We need to talk about, what was going on with me, that triggered me to want to go back to being the way I was with the situation, because sometimes we pull out a laundry list of things and that laundry list interferes with the present situation we're dealing with because you just didn't isolate this thing here. So is it something that's pervasive in our relationship? Is there a pattern of behavior where you cycle from this mood to that mood, and when you get in that mood, that mood is what keeps you from being tolerant, from being willing? Or is this an isolated incident? Is something that just happened that triggered me to feel the need to reach back for that old way of doing things? So you have to look at those things. You have to look at the differing perspectives, and you have to express those things to one another so we can find out what we're going to do to stop this, because we have to stop this, because this relationship is going to end. It's going to end. And that's any relationship, whether it's a relationship, with a customer, whether it's a relationship with your significant other, a family member, a colleague, whatever the case is. It's not going to end good. It's not going to end good. And we talked about last week how you have to create a win-win situation as opposed to a win-lose situation. Like I don't have to come out on top. I don't have to come out, being the one who, bullied their way through this situation so I can be the one viewed as being the strong. I don't need that. You don't need that. But when that's what you're seeking, that's what you're going to always find yourself with, a win-lose situation. So you want to create a win-win situation. You want to be able to listen to the other person, hear their perspectives, internalize what it is they're saying, and see what's inside of you that's preventing you from allowing that to happen. Again, it all goes back to perception. So if we're on the street, there are rules. There are rules to the street. If somebody's violating those rules, those criminal codes, because that's what they are. If somebody's violating those codes, how are we going to handle it? And if that has never been established, well, that's part of the problem. That's why the streets are so messy, because there's no organization. There's no organization of thought. People think that they're running enterprises and yada, 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 but there's no organization. It's just mess. And again, I don't condone any of it. I'm just saying if there's whatever exists, there's a resolve for it. And if everybody is not following the codes, excuse me, If everybody's not following codes, then we're going to continue to have these violations. We're going to continue to have these violations because everybody has different sets of codes. The street is the street. The codes are the codes. You don't establish a set of codes that work for y'all and don't are not applicable to everybody else. No, the street is the street. And we have a lot of people who violate the street codes. But when the only resolve for the violation of that code is to kill somebody, that's just messy for everybody. There's a way we can fix this. And the only way we get things fixed on the street is through murder and mayhem. And then we have a lot of people who are involved in calling themselves bringing resolve, bringing peace to the streets, when they're themselves involved, in another layer of street behavior, criminal behavior, because that's what it is. When you're violating the laws of the land, it's criminal behavior. It's criminal in the nature. And that's why it's treated as such. Because you're imposing your conduct, your values, the values of the street upon people who are not involved. And that's where the line is drawn. And that's where the law gets involved. When it's in a relationship between you and a significant other, there are codes that the two of you have. It's part of the unwritten law between us. You're mine, I'm yours, right? It's just us. Anything happens between us stays between us. Doesn't go to any others, right? Because we have to deal with it ourselves. Me, you, and God. The twine that cannot be broken unless you start adding other layers to that cord. When you start adding other layers to that cord that ain't built like that, right? Then they begin to deteriorate the other portions of that thread, that cord. You understand? You don't yell at me. I don't yell at you. We don't call each other names. We don't curse each other out. We don't do those things. When we have a problem, we sit down and we talk about it. That's what we do. We don't argue in front of the children. We don't argue loud enough for the children to hear. If we feel the need that it's going to be heated, then we sit out on the driveway, in the car. We go to a private place where there are no children or anyone else because it's between us. When you go outside of those parameters, then you're in violation because that's not what we do. Then the question becomes, why are you doing it this way? Why did you choose to take this route? What's happening here that we no longer do that? And again, is this an isolated incident? Is this a pattern of behavior? Or is it pervasive throughout this relationship that you just pick and choose when you want to adhere to the code? You don't have that right to pick and choose. Because when you think that you do have the right to pick and choose, when you're within the parameters or outside the parameters, then we have a problem. Then I have a right to make the decision that I don't want to be a part of this anymore. That's why relationships fail. Because somebody feels like they have more rights than the other. Number two, explore the underlying concerns. Explore. You know what it means to explore? It means to just go outside of the box that you're in and see other aspects of the relationship. Because when we say significant other, when we say friend, when we say family, when we say associate, homie, right? They all have different layers of understanding and how we interact with one another. So, what are the underlying concerns here? Underlying, not the surface stuff, not the superficial stuff, underlying. Because a lot of times, it's like, and there are many relationships where um, we men talk about how the girlfriend is always involved and always knows everything that goes on. When you go to family, you tell family every incident that happened between the two of us. Now, the family, the girlfriend, everybody has a perspective of me based on what you tell them, right? You're going to them as sounding boards. You're going to them as confidants, not realizing you're also conditioning them to look at me in a particular way. So the underlying concern is that what? There are too many people involved in our relationship. It's not just us. So we can never bring things to resolve because you're going to them for solutions. You're going to them for support. How much information can you really get, supportive information can you really get as a married person from an unmarried person, from a person who's never been married, from a person was in a tumultuous relationship, a contentious relationship? How much information are they going to give you, and what information are they really going to give you, right? Having been married before, right? I can tell you that, I don't have any contention towards them, nor that they of me, because there's no need for it. It's just two good people in a situation that didn't work. Sure, during the course of the relationship, again, because of the violations, you act towards it. You're mad at that person, you're upset with that person, you're angry at that person for the things that they did, said, didn't say, didn't do, right? The expectations, it didn't happen. And it wasn't just one time, it wasn't just an isolated incident, it was pervasive. When things are pervasive, when there's a pattern of this kind of behavior, it's not going to change. And the other person has chosen to hold on to that. You can't love it away. You can't gift it away. You can't. It won't go away until they're ready to do so. And because you are choosing, and you have the right to choose to not continue to be there because they're just not ready, you have that right, right? When you're ready, you're ready. Okay, but fortunately or unfortunately, I won't be here, and I won't. I don't return. I'm not a guy who will return. If you have the opportunity, to have me at that time. If you decide that you want to wait and change that behavior, well, that's on you. That's entirely up to you to do that. Don't expect the other person to wait. But when you start, part of exploring is looking at, why you're in this relationship. What were your intents entering into this relationship? Did you think this was going to happen? Did you think that this person was going to do this? Or did they say they were going to do it and didn't do it? And if they said they were going to do it and didn't do it, did you ask why? There are some situations where you just don't ask why. You just don't ask, right? There's no need to. Because for you to think that you can do otherwise is a problem within itself. The underlying problem is you believe that you can just do these kind of things and get away with it. I ain't never been that whooped by anyone, right? But I've been responsible. And because you have to be responsible and because you have to have a collaborative effort at making something work, because you have to, you have to submit, you have to compromise. Those are things you require. It doesn't mean you're whooped because you stayed in longer than you should have, or that you're still in it. You're still hoping and praying that it's going to get different. You're going to get a different outcome. But that's not whooped. That's what you do as a responsible person when you're trying to forge better relations with the person. You're trying to, you know, it's two different people. No matter how many things that y'all agree on, y'all share perspectives on it, there's going to be things that you don't. That's obvious. You don't agree with everything within yourself about what it is that you're doing. So why do you expect for somebody else to be in agreement? Right? So explore the underlying concerns, your concerns, as well as their concerns. Number three, create a mutually agreeable solution. Mutually agreeable, right? You don't force upon somebody the way it's going to be. It's not going to work. This is the way we're going to do it. And if we don't do it this way, I'm out. No, that's not how it goes. Let's sit down and agree on something so this can stop. Because the idea is for it to stop. Sometimes people don't want stuff to stop because their lives are full of chaos. They're just drama driven. They're not solution oriented. It's a lot of people, man, who don't know how to problem solve. They just know how to fight. That's all. They just know how to fight. That's all they want to do. That's all they know how to do. You know, I had an ex say to me on the day that we were signing divorce papers, she said, you know, I'll never forget that you told me that if I didn't stop acting the way I was, that I was going to look up one day and find myself by myself. And she talked about her selfishness and how she just didn't think that she was going to ever change. That's who she is. She realized it, you know, that she's selfish, you know, and that the end came as a result of um, her selfishness, her not being willing to submit, her not being willing to compromise, and, you know, to yield and allow me to do what I'm supposed to do as a man. She just held on to her old values and her old ways of doing things. And as a result of it, we couldn't find a mutually agreeable solution. We just couldn't. You can't. If you're selfish in thinking, if you're selfish in your conditioning, you will never find a mutually agreeable solution to anything because you have a win lose mindset. You don't have a win win mindset. No, I'm not yielding to that. No, I'm not submitting to that. No, no, I'm not. Which is why it's so important to keep other people. Hello, soulmate manifesting 16. So it's a matter of you have to be willing. That's the only way resolve is going to come to any situation. You have to be willing to look at yourself first and I mean why enter into a relationship and you don't think the person is worthy of you yielding, you compromise? Why are you in this relationship? And again, it goes back to number two where it said explore the underlying concerns. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense if you're reacting to me like I'm some dude out on the damn street. I'm the one that's paying the bills, helping paying the bills. I'm the one that's protecting you. I'm the one who you're laying up with. I'm the one who you put we're crying on each other's shoulders. We're there, and then you continue to hold on to this old behavior. It doesn't make sense to do that. It doesn't, right? I'm good. How are you? So it doesn't make sense to hold on to that behavior. Either you're in it or you're out of it. When you're in a relationship, and again, any relationship, right? Whether it's the street, whether it's in the confines of your own home, you have to look at why you're in that relationship. Why are you yelling and screaming at me? Why are you calling me outside of my name and profess your love for me? Well, let's get your interpretation of what love is. Love is a very small part of a relationship, very small part, right? Everything else is about responsibilities to that other person, what that other person deserves from you, respect, effective communication between one another, holding to your responsibilities. And part of your responsibility is if there's something wrong, we talk about it. But you just have a whole lot of people who just don't know how to do that. But then you want when I clap back, it's an issue. But when you're treating me that way, when you're treating me in a way that I don't treat you, it's like what sense does that make? So you have to create a mutually agreeable solution. What is going to help the bleed stop here? Because I'm not going to keep revisiting it but so long. I'm not going to keep being patient and tolerant of that for so long, all in the name of love. Yeah. So back to the article. For this three-step process to proceed effectively, participants need to feel as if they are sitting on the same side of the table, facing the problem, rather than as opponents sitting across from each other. Sustaining a friendly and cooperative attitude is essential. You have to ask yourself, why are we not being friendly towards each other right now? Even in the case of infidelity, is there a need for you to be talking to me in the manner that you are because I have violated a code? Because that's what I've done. Yeah, I've violated. So why are you arguing about it? Why are we fighting about it? Make a decision. And the decision should have already been made within yourself. If you establish that if this happens, I'm out, be out. There's no need to be mad. That is his penis. That is your vagina. You have the right to do with it as you damn well please. And if you decided you wanted to give it to somebody else, and I found out that you give it to somebody else, well, you violated our code, that it was just going to be us. So what are we arguing about? It's not going to change what happened. So you have to make a decision. But when you remain in a relationship, call yourself having, you know, not not accepted what took place, but recognize this is what took place, and you made a decision that we're going to move forward from this. Move forward from it. Don't keep bringing it up, because if you keep bringing it up, it's obvious that your relationship is already over. Because that's all it's ever going to be. It's always going to be that every time something happens, and you use it to validate your bad behavior. Some turn around and go do the exact same thing. Where's the value in self? Why would you argue with me about it? And you turn around and do the same thing. Now we good, we even. That's stupid. That's stupid. Now you have devalued yourself. You just lectured that person on how wrong they were, how devaluing of the relationship, how much of a violation it was. And now you do the same thing. If that is a violation, if that's something, if your value and your belief stands on, I will not accept it, don't accept it. Don't get mad, move on. It is that simple, but then it isn't. Because you hurt, you broke up, because this is what you did. You violated this. Why would you do that? Why ask a person why they did it? What, you want them to tell you? You think they're going to tell you something that's going to make you say, "Oh yeah, I understand. Yeah, I'd probably did that too." Even if they tell you because of the contentiousness that existed between the two of us, the ongoing fights and arguments and all those things was my rationale. Because yeah, we do dumb, especially men. We do dummy stuff like that, right? We do. You know, the relationship with me and the main girl is going downhill, and instead of leaving it, we go and get somebody else, right? Instead of walking away, then later it's found out, and then it's now she's broke up because you did this and you've been doing that, and now that becomes the focal point, not the contentiousness that already existed, but now the focal point is here, and therefore, okay, well, I've been this way, you did this. I'm gonna let that ride, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna continue moving forward because I have been, you know, um, the B word. I've been that too, but you did this now. So now you stay in this relationship because, well, you treated me this way. I did this, and this was the end result of you treating me this way. Therefore, you say, okay, well, yeah, you're right, and then but you stay in it, but nobody's looking at the underlying concern. The underlying concern is like, why are we even doing this? Why are we doing these kind of things when we profess love, respect for one another? Why are we doing this? That's always the go-to source. When things go left in a relationship, we go to the right instead of, you know, getting that left turn back on track. Like, where are we going? It doesn't happen that way. So let's go to the list. Uh, what would these types of conflict resolution look like for addressing a real problem? Jim and Barbara were a couple in my therapy practice who disagreed about what to do on their summer vacation. It's coming up, y'all. Their usual disagreement strategy had been to argue over my way, no, my way, until one gave up, gave in, and was left feeling depressed and resentful. Collaborative conflict resolution was new for them, right? Again, we're talking about a win lose situation there. It's my way. No, this is where we're going. No, I don't want to go to the Grand Canyon. I want to go to Niagara Falls. You're not looking at the whole picture. Well, if I live in Florida, what's closer? What's financially feasible? What kind of expenses are we looking at when if we go from here to there and there to here? Have we saved that kind of money, or are we just going to put out? We're going to use our paychecks, and we just going to when we get paid, we're just going to blow the whole paycheck and a portion of our savings just to do this. Or we can go over here because we can afford it. We got bills coming up this month. If we use our paychecks, then we're going to be behind, and it's going to, it's going. And then you got Christmas. You got all this stuff that comes up that you recognize, and that you spend money on, and now we're broke, and here we are. We're struggling for 2 years to pay off the Christmas from 2 years ago when you wanted to buy all these things, and that's where the argument goes. Well, you did this and you did no. No, let's look at this one situation. Isolate the situation we're talking about. Isolate the situation we're talking about. Stop pulling out the laundry list. Step one, Note differing ideas of what to do. Recognize that there is a problem that needs to be solved. Usually, that recognition comes when two or more people are each advocating for different action plans, right? To begin a process of conflict resolution, Jim and Barbara had to recognize that they had hit a conflict. The conflict had arisen because they need to make a decision together. Becoming irritated, Jim, of course the man, was tempted to continue in bickering mode. Jim responded positively, though, when I suggested that the rising tension indicated an opportunity to use their new 3 steps of conflict resolution. So now they have a script here. So Jim, let's take a trip to Peking this summer. I want to travel and explore. Listen to the wording. Let's take a trip to Peking this summer. I want to travel and explore. Barbara, feeling alarmed, that's what I was afraid you would say. Not me. Travel sounds totally unappealing to me. I'd prefer to just stay home. Jim, so where do we go from here? If I want to travel and you want to stay home, we're stuck already. Thus, the first step in moving forward toward resolving a conflict consists of both sides saying what is initially on their minds with regard to what they want to do. Both sides speak and both listen to the other, even though what they want seems to be in conflict. The danger. Participants who at this point head straight for the third step, finding solutions, will find themselves locked in a tug of war, a power struggle over whose way will prevail. Far better to note the conflicting ideas and therefore proceed immediately to step 2. So we're on step 1, and step 1 is saying note differing ideas of what to do. If you bypass step 2, you go to 3. 3 is to create a mutually agreeable solution. So this is where you create the win-lose situation when you go from the first to the third, because you have to first be able to look at the differing ideas. But who wins in a situation with you? Between you and your significant other, does the loudest voice win? Does the person who expresses the most anger win? Do you yield because of something that transpired in the relationship before? And you don't want this situation to look like that, like it's happening again? You know, what's happening here? How do you typically resolve conflict? Do you just shut down and stay mad for a whole month, a year, carry it throughout the years of the relationship? What do you do? Because you're faced with another conflict. In relationships, you're going to be faced with conflict. Do you have that, well, you won last time, we're going to let this go mindset? Step 2, exploring. We talked about that, right? The second step requires a shift from talking about actions, the solution that each participant has proposed, to exploring the underlying concerns. Concerns are the factors that have motivated each person's initial suggestions. Let me read that a little louder for those in the front who didn't hear. Concerns are the factors that have motivated each person's initial suggestions. You have to look at the motivation behind that initial, plan. Like what? So, what was your initial motivation for that? Oh, we went to where you wanted to go last year. Does it matter who made the decision? Does it? You got to look at, if you agreed, you should leave it there. Why should the following year be in relationship to the past year? one should have nothing to do with the other, right? Did y'all have that discussion after it was concluded last year? That next year you pick? Is that what you did? Or did you just decide within yourself? Again, it says here the motivation. You decided within yourself. Your initial response was, okay, when next year comes and we had that discussion, I'm going to go where I want to go. It's not fair. But you never had the discussion last year and probably didn't have the discussion the year before that. But within your mind, that's what's right. That's what's fair, right? But if you never went to the first step and listening to the differing ideas, right? We would. Who gives you the right to do that now? What gives you the right to do that now? Because that's what you think, that's what you feel is the right way of dealing with it. Why didn't you have the conversation? All right, babe, no problem. So next year, would it be fair to say that I can decide where we go? And if you hold to that thinking, right, and next year comes, but again, going back to the financial picture, what does that look like for us financially? Do you just agree to go this year because last year we said that I could pick, and then your motivation is, well, I'm going to pick this place to go. I already have it in my mind that this is where I want to go, and you won't deviate from that thinking. And if you don't deviate from that thinking, then you don't create options if it comes up again. Yeah, but it's a little pricey to do that, and we really can't afford that. Well, you said that next year I can make the decision on where we go, and that's where we should go. Now you done stood on that, so you're in a conflict again. You're in a conflict again. Did you bring two or three options of where we can go this year that you would like to go, or did you just bring one because that's what you wanted to do? Because that's what you're standing on right now from last year, not looking at how much things have changed, how the economy has changed, right? How well we've taken on other financial, obligations. We just got another car. Wouldn't that change the game? Or are you still locked into what you want since last year? So you have to look at the underlying concerns here. Because if we just got a vehicle this year and now it's vacation time this year, is it fair to say that you're being unfair? We've just taken on another $400 a month car note. You wanted that car. That's what we got. Why didn't you think differently in terms of where we could go? Why don't we just go somewhere local? Some local places we can go. We can find a nice theme hotel or something like that, right? We can pick a couple different places to go. It doesn't cost as much. Again, what's the motivation here? And these are the kind of games people often play in relationships and wonder why they don't last, wonder why they don't blossom, wonder why they're stagnant. They stay in the same condition over and over again. And we argue about the same thing over and over and over and over again. And again, going back to street codes, the same thing. The same exact thing. Oh, y'all violated. You know, your man was coming up into the spot, doing packages and, selling in the spot, and he ain't supposed to be doing that. So now it's like the truth is out. No, 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 no. That's not how that goes. Somebody needs to deal with that individual from your side. Y'all need to handle that because we want to maintain the truth. We don't need this kind of messiness on the streets. We don't need it. So we need you to handle him because that's your man, right? No bloodbath, no blood spilled, another day to live, right? And it changes the conditions of the streets. Get your hustle on. That's what you're gonna do. That's what you're gonna do. No judgment here. Not condoning it. I'm just simply saying that if this is what you're gonna do, we need to stay within these codes of the street. Same thing we need to do in the home. We need to stay within the codes of the home. If we say we don't raise voices at each other, we don't raise voices. You start raising your voice, it's a concern. Like, why are you raising your voice now? And the person may just be feeling like, well, you know what? Because you've been shutting me down a lot. And this is one of those times when I'm not letting you shut me down. But when I was shutting you down before, why didn't you just tell me? Hey, you're not letting me talk. But you let it build. And then you bring out the laundry list where you want to divert attention away from your bad behavior. Yeah, that's how that works. That's how that works. It's a game that you play within yourself, but you're playing with somebody else's life. And it's even worse when you do it when there are children involved. It's even worse. It's pathetic that you can't look at yourself and see what it is that you're doing and contributing to this conflict. You rather hold on to your guns and let the relationship just die than to take a realistic look at yourself, make the change and say, hey, I need to stop doing this. It's me. But not too many relationships, people in win-lose situations. I understand my role as the man of the house. If I'm fulfilling that role, allow me to lead, right? Allow me to lead. And all those excuses about, well, we ain't got no men out there who lives. Well, why are you leading that? Why are you bashing men for a situation you put yourself in? Because you turned a blind eye to the bad behaviors because of your own selfish wants and needs. You wanted this person, but you didn't look at the behaviors because you didn't want to see the behaviors. You wanted what you wanted. You got what you wanted, but then you got more to go along with it. Yeah. You didn't know he was abusive. You didn't know he was irresponsible. Why didn't you know? Did he have a job when you met him? What was his job? Oh, selling drugs, clocking. I figured if I can, we get together, he stopped doing that. Why? That's how he lives. That's how he takes care of himself. Why did you think he was going to find another way to take care of you? That's how he's been taking care of himself. You knew that. Or you thought you was going to whoop him away from that lifestyle. So whose issue is that? Yours or his? Yours or his? And these are the kind of things that are not looked at. You're in this situation by choice. If you're judging that person that you're with, you're in a relationship with them, that speaks volumes about you. Speaks volumes about you. We all have done it. We all do it. We all turn a blind eye to the bad behaviors, thinking that we're going to love it away. Oh, yeah, she gonna stop doing that. I'm going to get away from that. I'm going to get away from girlfriend. She needs to get away from that girl. That girl, I'm going to have this prince. I'm going to get away from that. That's her ace boon coon. That's always been her go-to person before you. Why do you think she's going to get away from her? Because of you? You haven't even showed any kind of sustainability within a relationship. As a man, you don't talk to her right. You treat her poorly. You're in the street. Come on. She trusts her. Regardless of how crazy you may think she is, she trusts her. That's been her ride to die. That's been her go-to source when her life was a mess. And here you come along and you think you're going to, again, motivation. What is the motivation in situations? Just to corral her, keep her in the home, hide her, so nobody else can get to her. Nah, if you're gonna go, you're gonna go. Like I said, that's your stuff. That ain't mine. We tell each other that. It sounds cute. This is yours, baby. Yeah, this is yours. It's all yours, girl. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? No, it's really yours. This is really mine. If I want to give it away, I give it away. It's mine. I, I'm gonna get mad at you because you gave your stuff to somebody else. It's just on loan to me. You the owner. So what am I getting mad for? Right? It really is that simple. But we get our feelings all involved and we have these expectations of people. We want these people to be in the way that we think they should be. You can't stop nobody from doing what they're gonna do, right? Back to the article. So step two, concerns are the factors that have motivated each person's initial suggestion. We talked about that. Concerns are desires, fears, and other factors that matter to you in a given situation. Like I can't swim. I'll go out on the boat, go fishing. In a minute, deep sea fishing. I sure will. But you talking about water skiing? No, no, no. Right? You know, with the jet ski joints. I said, okay, we gonna go. I ain't getting on that. You can ride on. You ain't gonna go? No, no. I've been killed both of us out there. I've been started having a panic attack, trying to get off the thing and run somewhere. I can't run on water and I can't swim. Right? So I'm the last person you want to have out on the jet ski and that thing tilt over or anything else happen and I'm in that water. Oh no, no, I'll drown both of us. Mm-mm, nope. But you have a great time. Yeah, I go to water parks. I don't get in the pool. I get a little spray, walk under a little shower thing. But standing under that big bucket under there that's got like 100 gallons of water and waiting for that. Hell no. Roller coasters. I used to do roller coasters. Did a roller coaster in about what 30 years. I won't forget no more. But we gonna go to the park. Yeah. But what it says here in the article is right. Jim. Back to this little script. I was thinking of an exploring vacation because I want to be physically active during our time off. At my job, I sit at my desk all day. On my vacation, I like to move around, to walk long distances, to meet new people. Besides seeing new places and meeting new people, feels invigorating fun. Barbara, that makes sense to me that you want physical activity. And I agree that new is often fun. As for me, I want to stay home because I've been working such long hours. I want to rest. I want to relax, slow down, and recuperate. I also would love time to read since I have so little time to read most of the year. Now, Barbara sounds a lot like me. As exploratory as I am, right? I'm in my car driving up and down the highway anywhere from 4 to 6 hours a day. 2, 3 hours up, 2, 3 hours back, right? Sometimes that 3 hour ride can be a 4 hour ride. The 2 hour ride can become a 3 hour ride, depending on what traffic I may run into. I've been doing this every day for 5 years. When the weekend comes, there's no such thing as my week doesn't end. I don't have a weekend, right? But it's not about me. Some Sundays, they're going to church and I say, okay, well, like, I'll attend at least once a month with you guys. You know what I'm saying? It's always good to see my family. It's always good, to see the pastor. It's always good, to get out with the family. That's something you have to do when you have family. It has nothing to do with anything else. Just because, I don't believe in a particular thing, just because, I don't like to do particular things, don't mean that I don't participate in them in a positive manner, in a joyful manner. A lot of times people participate in things and they got their faces all. I'm squinting now because I have my glasses on, so I look a little mean today, right? But you know, it's a matter of like, okay, well, we gonna go. Y'all go ahead and get in the pool and all kind of stuff like that. I'm gonna get my laptop and I just want to sit with my feet flat on the ground. Or I want to elevate my feet. So I get my laptop, I get my iPad, and I sit by poolside, right? Or y'all can go to the water park. Y'all go ahead and go to the water park. I'm gonna sit here and chill. When we get back, when y'all get back, we'll go ahead and we'll go out to dinner or something like that. Cool. It's a compromise there. But why do you have all these issues? When you look at Barbara and what's his name? When you look at Barbara and Jim, first thing I ask myself is, okay, why don't y'all know these things about one another already? Why don't you already know these things? So that would be an underlying concern for me, right? You know these things about me. You know that I don't, this ain't my twist. Why would you keep, imposing those things upon me that I don't do? Why aren't you coming to me with things that you know that I'd be willing to do? Or why wouldn't you be coming and saying like, babe, I know you don't do the whole swimming thing like that, but like, you know, I want us to go as a family to such and such a place. I understand that you don't do a whole lot of water stuff, but it's just some of the things that I would like for us to do, and I know that you want to just a lot of times you just want to chill because you always driving. She knows that. So she doesn't ask me to do a whole lot of things that involve a whole lot of activity. We have we usually have an annual attendance to a youth fair and like that. So I know that's what we're gonna do. I know that's what she wants to do. You know, you know, like I said, with the church, I go to church with her. You know, and even Christmas, I don't celebrate holidays at all. But it's not about me. It's not about me. I'm not recognizing the day as she does. I don't see a tree as a threat to me and my values. No. Part of my values is having compassion and respect for the values and beliefs of others. Because I don't celebrate Christmas, I can't help get a tree. I can't help decorate because that's not my belief. That's stupid. And that's the confusion that a lot of people have about a lot of things. Like, well, I don't celebrate Christmas. So you gotta sit there and be Scrooge for everybody else to see, to make the family feel bad about the fact that this is what they celebrate and recognize. No. Be joyful. Be joyful. Yo, let's go get the tree. Yeah, I'm happy going to get the tree too. Yeah, we're going to get a tree. Yay. We're gonna decorate the tree. Yay. We're gonna hang lights. Not yeah. I don't know. Getting the tree. Why we got to put up all these decorations? Why don't you put a candle in the window? So why don't they know these things about one another? Why are they having this conflict right now? You know why they're having this conflict right now? Because they don't have any conversations with each other any other time. This stuff would not happen if we were planning, if we were having conversations about things that we would like to do, our hopes, dreams, and aspirations, and things like that. It's planning. Excuse me. It's all planning. But you should know these things about the other person when you're dating. And see, again, it goes back to motivation. What was your motivation for getting with that person? You just want to get with him. That's fine. Own that. Own that when the stuff hits the fan. Your motivation was you just wanted to let him hit it. You just wanted to hit that. Own that motivation because it's yours. Period. Own it. We was at the club. She dropped it like it was hot. We was at the red roof. I know the cheapest place I can think of, right? That's that mindset from corporate, right? We always got to find the price range. But anywho, so that was the motivation, right? And that's fine if that's the motivation. We're adults. That's fine if that's the motivation. But when it comes down to an expectation that I need to be doing more for a situation where we were just good with that. Now all of a sudden there's some other expectations that's been layered into all of this, and now I'm the bad guy because of something you ain't telling me that. Oh, we in a relationship now. Oh, I'm sorry. When did that start? Oh, well, when we went to the Red Roof. Oh, that's when it started. Did we have that conversation? Like you don't even know each other. When I do fatherhood classes, one of the first things I ask when it's the first class is, by a show of hands, how many of you even like the girl you got pregnant? Most of them didn't raise their hands. Most of them, not all of them, fail to do that. Most of them don't even raise their hands to say that they liked her. Didn't even know her. Didn't care to know her. I'm just smashing it, man. Just smash, smash. And then she get pregnant. All of a sudden, it's contentious. It's hateful. Yeah. If me and you was getting it in, you get pregnant, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna take responsibility. If you fall into a situation, just because of who I am, but it shouldn't be an expectation. It should never be an expectation, right? But a lot of relationships begin that way, and unfortunately, when children are involved, it changes. But you're upset, you're angry, enraged at the other person for not being responsible now that you're pregnant. But they weren't responsible when you met them. And your motivation for being involved with that person was strictly about sex. That was your motivation. What theirs was is not important because it was about your motivation. You didn't care what theirs was. So when you're looking to resolve conflict, it's really, 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 really important that you look at you, look at yourself. Stop pointing fingers, at at the other person. Stop, just stop, because it just doesn't. It's not right. It's something that you're responsible for. You started it. You started it. I finished it because of what it represented. We're at the hour. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your continued support. As always, I'm your host, Spirit Lane. You can be doing anything else on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. But here you are listening to my mouth. And I thank you for that. Y'all have a great day. Peace. Line and sinker. They only want followers, not independent thinkers. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are two-tone. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are two-tone. Their faces are two-tone. Up and away, superheroes to many, saviors for some, a taker from any. They appear distinguished, the 1% destroys, their souls extinguished, their minds destroyed. For you against you, all in the same breath.
With us, against us, it's a loyalty litmus test. Patriotism, dictator, infusion. Schizoid prison, it's a democracy illusion. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are two-tone. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are two-tone. Their faces are two-tone. Their faces are two-tone. Yeah, their faces are two-tone. They call it a chamber, believers of the manger. In God they trust not, falling angel, no stranger. In it till they die, from their seats they will cry. To our faces, telling lies, they're complicit, no surprise. The ceiling is high, they think the same of you and I. What they call woke is a politicized form of divide. All lives, no matter, just listen to the idle chatter. They're hiding in plain sight because they fear the smoke and splatter. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are owned, their faces are two-tone. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are owned, their faces are two-tone. Their faces are two-tone. This is my latest release. Working on another one to be released in May. The body count is growing from the propaganda that's sowing. They're hiding the hand, want to keep you not knowing. Peace seems to come through war, but war doesn't bring peace. Residual effects are an intermittent release. They think you'll be called, then they'll call one for you. Presenting arms as though they adore you. They're dualistic in nature, maturation miss. They turn the other cheek and receive the Judas kiss. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are two-tone. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are two-tone. Their faces are two-tone. Their faces are two-tone. Yeah, their faces are two-tone. Face.